would you be able to name who you think those big people would be when you say kind of the if you were to give
Sure.
us advice as far as like who would be the big pathologists that the people, that we would want to be sure to spend time with?
I can, but a better piece of advice for you is just to simply go to the NCCN website, and if you and look at the practice guideline for breast, and the second, third page, something like that, lists all of the members and their affiliation. So my memory is going to be I'm not a breast specialist. I'm more in the lung field, so I'm probably not the best person to ask, but it's readily available publicly online on their website. So I would go to the NCCN and look up the breast committee, and it'll be maybe 30 people, something like that, and there'll be 2 or 3 pathologists, I'm sure. And then those would be the people that I would really look at. And then of course there's you can ask others in the field and just say who are the real movers and shakers and opinion leaders in the breast cancer oncology, molecular oncology, and molecular pathology space. And I'm sure you'll get a lot of great recommendations. But my first one would just be to go to the website.
Yeah, that's good advice. Thanks. So can I just ask, if you don't mind, how did you hear about, I think it was the Pellicib that you had mentioned. How did you hear about that compound?
Oh, well, certainly it's been in a lot of, so a big part of my job is looking at digesting the literature and generating our own literature and doing our own studies, things like this. And so we work very closely with a lot of pharmaceutical companies. We have nothing public about Pellicib, nothing, I'm not disclosing anything, but just mostly it's from reading the literature and listening to things at conferences, just seeing posters and doing talks, and then talking to pharma as well.
Gotcha. And are there any other PI3K inhibitors that you're aware of?
Quite a few. It's a very prolific space right now since there's no real front runner. And then, obviously there's the corpses of some drugs that have not proved really very effective, and some drugs that have been a little bit, like Buparlisib, that it was a little bit too toxic. So, there's quite a lot in the field. I think, just from my gestalt and from my reading of the literature, it seems like most are tending towards the alpha selectives now, at least in the solid tumor space. There seems to be some excitement about some of the more uncommon PI3 kinase isoform selectives for the hematology, the heme malignancy space. But certainly we're keeping most of our eyes on the alpha selectives at this point.
Why is that?
Well,
why keeping your eyes on the alpha selective?
So, and it's not to say that we really have an excellent idea of what's coming next. It's just to say that we were excited about, so as a diagnostics field, we've been super excited about PIK3CA forever because it's extraordinarily common and it's relatively simple to assay. So it's a great potential biomarker that has some oncogenic activity, and so it should be something that we're hoping for a drug. And we've seen several failures in the drug space. And then we saw a lot of efficacy in the Bell trials. And I thought the efficacy was pretty good, and there was some good hints that there's actually a role for a PIK3CA biomarker here. But it was the toxicity that people pointed at when that drug was shelved. The toxicity seemed to be mostly coming from off-target, non-alpha PI3 kinase, and just my understanding of the literature. And so that's why we're excited. I mean, it's certainly our initial toxicity of things like Pellicib and alpha selective inhibitors has been much more tolerable and without any suggestion that the efficacy is lower. So it's just what we see as most likely to cross the finish line in terms of becoming a real biomarker that we can get paid for testing, and then a real option, therapeutic option to get patients on for those indications.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So,